Hey guys, it's Brianna. In today's video, I wanted to share all about my breast augmentation experience. I recently went on vacation. If you're new here and aren't a subscriber, I posted some bathing suit pictures when I was in Punta Cana, and I realized everybody in the comments started asking questions, and some of you DM'd me just wanting to hear my experience or my recommendations because you're considering getting this surgery as well. So I figured, my channel is about just my motherhood journey. That's why it started, and sharing everything in the beginning from breastfeeding to then my pregnancies and my labor and deliveries, and then just kind of my everyday life here and cleaning, motivation, and decorating. But this is something I feel like is a new sort of mom life 2.0 phase for me, because I've gotten divorced and am in a new relationship, and I'm in a new phase of life where I have just invested more in myself, I feel like. And yeah, I asked for your questions and I want to get to as many of them as I can today. So I asked over on Instagram, by the way, so if you want to follow over there, I'm at Bits of Brie. But the first question was, thank you for being so open, and you're so welcome. I feel like it's funny that I didn't really share any part of the surgery. I think it was just, I was going through some other things at the time that the surgery happened, and I just really wasn't sharing anything much that was going on. So all of that being said, I'm happy to be open about it now and answer your questions here. But it says, thank you for being so open. I really want to get mine done, but I'm scared. Why did you decide to do this surgery? So I think being scared is totally normal. I was definitely nervous as well about the surgery, and I was nervous about the results because obviously you want them to look really good, and I had a certain idea in my head of how I wanted them. But I think the reason why I decided ultimately to get this surgery was, again, just like I've been doing so much to make myself feel as confident as I can in this new phase of life that I'm in. And going back to high school, there was a guy named Dave, and I remember he said to me the one day, "Does your mom have big boobs?" And I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, you would be really hot if you actually had boobs." And it's just one of those things that, words really stick with you. And I just in general always struggled with my self-confidence and body image issues, and was always overly concerned with my weight. And I think that was just one of those things too, that growing up as a girl and what we see in the media, if you don't have boobs, you kind of always think to yourself, maybe I'll get my boobs done one day. And I'd say then I got pregnant, and I was probably an A cup to a very small B cup all of my life, and then got pregnant and all of a sudden had boobs, and then was breastfeeding and had even bigger boobs, and did that 3 times. So I feel like during those years, I remember thinking to myself, gosh, I love how my boobs look when I'm breastfeeding because they're so full and I finally feel womanly and filled out. And then once my kids were done breastfeeding, I, would shrink back down to a much smaller size. And I finally finished breastfeeding Hayden. It was June, so almost a year ago. I breastfed him for over 1.5 years at that point. He was the longest kiddo that I breastfed. And I just remember thinking, sort of that summer, then every time I was putting on a bathing suit, being like, my boobs just keep on shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And I'll insert here a picture from last summer, so you can kind of see how they looked after I was done having kids and breastfeeding and all of that. And then a picture from the most recent trip, where it's the only one I feel that I'm in the same bathing suit top, even though I tied it differently. So you can sort of see what I looked like before and what I look like now after the surgery. But yeah, I think that was just, again, a multitude of reasons why. It was something that I just felt if I'm done having kids and I'm 35, I think that was one of the questions on here too, is what was your age of surgery? I got the surgery done. I'm 35 now, got it done at the end of February. And it just, I know this is going to sound really silly, and I know there's so many factors that I'm going to go over of why you would do this, but just for me, I went into Victoria's Secret a couple of weeks after the surgery to get remeasured and figure out what bra size I was now. And it was the first time in my life in Victoria's Secret that I put on a bra, looked in the mirror, and was just overly happy and felt like this is what I've always wanted to look like when I was wearing a bra. Like before then I would put on bras and always feel like maybe it needs more padding or like it's not giving me the look that I want. And I was never happy until that moment. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I did this for myself. It gave me an extra boost of confidence. It made me feel so much more womanly, and I'm just so freaking glad that I did something like this for myself, that I had thought about for years and years and years. And honestly, I think that's part of even what I felt going through this of, you know, maybe if I hadn't gotten married as early as I did and had kids, you know, so early as well, I might have considered doing this in like those mid to late 20s, because it was just something that I was always so insecure about. But I'm just so glad that I did it for myself now. Were you nervous? What were your concerns? I was, again, nervous about the actual surgery. I think anytime you're going under, that's a risk. And I have 3 children, so that was in the back of my mind. And then taking care of my kids after the surgery was my biggest concern. Also, I think I mentioned this, I wanted them to look good, but the biggest concern I had overall was, how do I take care of the kids after the surgery? And it was, I talked to so many other moms who'd had them done when they had smaller kids, who sort of helped me figure out, here's what you're gonna need week 1. Here's the kind of support you'll need week 2. Here's what you're gonna need week 3. And I'm just so thankful to my mom, was over here and so helpful. And then Brad, who I'm dating, he was incredibly helpful with like anything that I needed. And then just kind of with our schedule with my ex, I sort of planned the surgery on a weekend when the kids were with him. So I had that like weekend to recover, and then had my mom helping sort of like the rest of that week, and Brad helping the rest of that week with, you know, lifting Hayden if I needed to. And my older 2 kids are old enough where I could ask them for help with that too. Like Landon and Presley have no problem picking up Hayden and doing things like that. So everybody honestly just supported me, and I appreciated that so much. But I would say like the first week is when you're going to need the most help. By the second week, I mean, I could do everything else that I needed to take care of the kids besides lifting them. And then same thing I would say the third week. But the first week was where I just needed like more overall help with anything from cooking to making food to like that kind of stuff. So make sure your first week especially, you have a lot of extra hands on deck and that support if you have small kids, or even if you don't, like you're just probably gonna need some help with getting this stuff done for yourself. Yours look great. Thank you so much. I don't know why, it's like, it still makes me giddy because I'm just like so overwhelmingly happy that I did this for myself. How much did it cost, and did you have anything else done at the same time? I didn't have anything else done at the same time. I just had breast augmentation. One of the things that I've gotten a lot of, I think, comments about is my lips, which I didn't get anything done to my lips. Like a lot of people were saying like, did you have a lip flip, or your like lips look fuller? One time, it was in 2019, right after my dad had passed away, when I went in for Botox, they were running like a lip filler injection special. So I had my lips done then, very like subtly. It was right before we went to Europe. I remember like my ex that got home, he didn't even notice, even though I felt like I was like swelled up like a duck. He didn't even say anything until I told him. And he's like, oh yeah, okay, I guess I see. But that was the only time I've had lip injections or anything done besides I get Botox like in my forehead and around my eyes. But last time I had that done was like December, and I usually go every 6 months. But I've only had it done twice since after having Hayden. Like I got it done summer after I finished breastfeeding him in like July, and then got it done again in like the end of December. So that's what I've had done. No other kind of surgeries though. And yeah, I just think like overall this like experience has made me realize that like for women, no matter what you're getting done, if you're doing it for yourself and you're like happy and you feel confident, like I'm just so proud of you and I'm so excited for you. Because it's just like the best feeling to like feel happy with yourself and your body. And like I want every woman to feel that way. And you know, if plastic surgery isn't for you, that's totally fine. Like, I think we all have to make decisions for ourselves. But for me in this example, I'm really, really just so happy that I did this for myself. This question I feel like is so important. It's how did you pick a doctor and do you recommend yours? I definitely would recommend mine. So I went to Dr. Matt Goldschmidt. He is located in Independence, Ohio. And the reason I picked him is I was talking to another girl about her experience. She was also a mom, and I absolutely loved her results. And I was like, can you tell me where you went? And I went to him for the consultation. And I would say like the consultation is the biggest thing. Like, you have to really at that point feel out, does this person understand like what my starting point is, what results that I want? Look at all of their before and after pictures and see if you like the after results, especially of any befores that are similar to yours, right? Because then you can kind of tell like, okay, this person does the surgery similarly to how I want my results to look, and just ask all the questions in the world. I feel like I had so many questions and he was very patient with all my questions, answered everything, and just made me feel really, really comfortable going into it. So I love that. I also loved his office staff. Like, they were so nice and so friendly, also answered all of my questions, gave me really good advice. A lot of them had had the surgery, so they all told me about their experiences and just things that they would recommend. So I would say like feel out the office staff and the actual doctor, and those before and after results is like so important. And then I feel like I just asked anybody that like had the surgery who was willing to talk about it in my life. I just asked them a ton of questions too about what questions should I be asking the doctor and what should I be considering when it comes to the type of implant and the size and the actual surgery and recovery and like all of those things. And I think that was like the next question too, of like, where did you do your research? So I watched a bunch of YouTube videos. I, Googled a bunch of things too, and like read people's different experience on blogs. But I would say what helped me the most was talking to women in my life who'd had the surgery done, or even some who'd considered the surgery, and just sort of like their experience of like how they found their doctors, how they decided on everything from like size, placement, all of that. And truly, I feel like the word of mouth or like personal experiences is ultimately what helped me in this entire experience, to sort of know, okay, here's all the negatives and like things that I need to be thinking about, and then like here's all the questions that I should be asking. And it like helped me just in this process so much. So thank you to all of those women who told me your stories and experiences and the questions I should be asking, and for all the advice. It means so much. Next question was, how did you pick your size? Yours look great, thank you. What is your height? How many cc's? What profile did you go with? What was your before size and after size? Did you do over or under the muscle? What kind of implant? And did you get a lift also? So all these questions I feel like kind of related. I sort of group them together. How did you pick your size? So you try on the implants. Like when I went to my doctor's office, they had me put on an actual like bra and gave me different size implants so I could try them on with different tops. Like I brought in a bunch of different tops, and that way I could sort of see like the different profiles too, like how they sat in the tops in the bra, and got like a really realistic, like by wearing them, how it would look and sort of feel, I guess. But then what I feel like really helped me too is I downloaded an app. It's called the Chrysalix app, and you take a before picture. It like chops off your head. But you take a before picture, not wearing anything, and then it allows you to play with the CC sizes. So you can kind of see like, okay, if I go to 250, here's how they would look. If I go to 300 or 350, here's how they would look. I think it goes by 25 CC increments, maybe either 25 or 50 on the app. But between like trying them on in the office and then using the app, it just kind of allowed me to like to see all the different angles on the app of like how it would look from under and over and like from different sides. And I feel like that just helped me really visualize like what I ultimately wanted. So in trying them on, I wanted like either 250 or 275. I was looking for me, like how I looked naturally when I was breastfeeding my kids. And I feel like that's how my boobs basically like looked and the size that they were. And I, talked with the doctor about it, and he recommended that I get the gummy bear implants, because those type of implants, if you like imagine a gummy bear, if they like were to like, not necessarily like break, because like, because of it being like this gummy bear texture, it's never going to pop open and leak out into you the way that other implants can. But it's like if you were to stretch a gummy bear, that's kind of how this implant would be like if there ever were to be, I guess, like a split in it. So it should like maintain its shape and you won't have anything leaking out into your body. So that to me felt like a very safe option. That's what he said. He felt it was like the safest option. And also very natural feeling. I'm about, let's see, at this point, I think I'm like 8 weeks out of my surgery. And I will say they were really hard at first, and now they are really soft and they do feel really natural. Like I can definitely, I'm like holding like this. I can definitely like feel the implant when I squeeze them, like really squeeze them. But if I just kind of like, like touch my boobs and like push on them, I wouldn't say that I feel the implant, and they've gotten a lot softer. Now, all the girls in the office and the doctor have said to me that it's 3 to 6 months after the surgery is when they truly, I think it's the drop and fluff is the term, but that's like when they start to really feel even more natural and will sit a little more naturally too. But I do feel like probably around the 6-week mark is where I notice mine maybe like just dropped slightly and are sitting a little more natural. Like I definitely in the beginning, like they were swollen, and especially the first weekend, they were like swelled up so high and so big. But yes, what other questions I didn't answer in this? How did you pick your size? So that height, oh, so I'm 5'5". My CCs that I ended up going with, because I kind of knew, I was like, I want to be like 250 to 275. And what my surgeon recommended was 295 is ultimately what I ended up getting. Because he's like, I'm gonna go between 250 and 300 when we're in the operating room, and sort of decide what for like your natural breast pocket is going to fill it out the best. And he said for mine, like where they sat and my end result that I wanted, 295 he felt like was the best. So my actual implants are 295. And okay, what profile did you go with? It is a high profile, because I wanted them to sit higher because I didn't get a lift. That was one of the questions too. I wasn't getting a lift, so I still wanted them to like sit higher, but the high profile. And my before cup size, so I was like, if I went to Victoria's Secret, they always measured me at like a 34B, but again, I feel like I could probably have like been an A to a B, just sort of depending on the padding. And again, Victoria's Secret I think like overcompensates, so I really think I was probably in most bra sizes an A. And then when I went after my surgery, I'm a 32 double D. So again, I feel like it really definitely like increased my size, but I think like Victoria's Secret is a little off. So I'd say I'm probably like a D in other bra sizes, if that makes sense. So I'm probably like a 32D at this point. Oh, and over or under the muscle. So there's, I guess, like 3 different placements where it's like over, partially under, and like fully under. And my surgeon recommended for me, because I was concerned about the recovery for the kids, he recommended the one that's like the middle of the road, because he said they would still sit high, but recovery wouldn't be as intense as if you do under the muscle, because I guess that just is like literally because they're like lifting your muscle, and then so many things, like, imagine like your muscle has to sort of like reattach post-surgery, then that the recovery can be a lot more painful and take a lot longer. And so we decided that for the results that I was looking for too, with it being like a higher profile implant, that I would still have them sitting up higher, but they would look natural, and my recovery would be better if I didn't do the fully under the muscle. So I did like the partial. What was recovery like, the healing timeline, and how long till you could pick up your 2-year-old? So recovery, when I first got out, Brad was the one who picked me up from the surgery, and I was like, can you have a big lemonade for me, because you're not allowed to eat or drink anything like from midnight the day before surgery through your surgery. And I think my surgery time was 1 or 2 p.m. I can't remember. I like was supposed to arrive at 1 and my surgery was actually at 2. I think that's what it was. So by the time I was out, I was just like, I'm so thirsty. I haven't been able to have water. Can you just have a big lemonade for me? So he had a huge Cane's lemonade waiting for me, and I was so happy to not only like see him, but have the lemonade. But oh my gosh, I could barely breathe. The way they had the Band-Aid like wrapped around this like bandage, it was so tight. That's just like what I remember waking up thinking, like, it's like, I can't breathe. And it just felt heavy, and yeah, just like I could not breathe. And you know, he was so reassuring, and the nurses were so reassuring there, and you can't really see them at that point. Like, they were like so fully wrapped. Like, I tried like sneaking a peek, and like all I could see was bandages. So I remember like driving home, he drove like really slow and made sure like not to hit any bumps. And the pain meds that they gave me, oh my God, they knocked me out. Like, I just got home and I slept and I slept and I slept, and I don't think I like really woke up again until probably like the next like almost afternoon. And I was just completely out of it. And I just remember I really couldn't breathe. It definitely felt a little bit like painful, but I feel like the pain was honestly more coming from like how tightly I was wrapped, and like my rib cage just hurting so bad from like not being able to like fully expand and breathe. And you have to sleep, like I was like sleeping kind of like propped up on pillows, because you can't go on your side, like you have to sleep on your back. And so I remember like that was just something I was like extra like kind of careful and cautious of. But then like once I took the pain medicine, I was completely just like knocked out. And yeah, but I feel like by the end of the weekend, I was on my feet moving around. And I was trying to get up out of bed as much as I could, even though I was really sleepy, because you want to get up and moving really bad, or everything can get backed up because the pain medicine does it to you. So they did give me like a stool softener, which if you're taking that kind of pain medicine, it's just a good idea to do that so that you're like not uncomfortable and can go to the bathroom. And they also gave me, it was like vitamin B that I was supposed to be taking that helps with the healing. And they gave me an anti-nausea patch that I put on the night before the surgery, just so that you don't get nauseous from being put out and from the pain medicine. And I think that did help tremendously. There was also some like antibacterial soap that they gave me that I had to wash with, I think it was 3 days before the surgery. And they had me stop taking my multivitamins 2 weeks before the surgery, because I guess like certain multivitamins can affect how your blood clots, and they just like don't want to run the risk. And they did say like if you didn't want to take the heavy duty pain medicine, you could just take like over the counter pain meds. I think I ended up taking their actual like heavy duty stuff for the first 5 days, because I know like by the end of the first week I was feeling good. I didn't want to be on it anymore. I like didn't want it to be messing with my digestive system any more than it needed to. And yeah, I just was trying to drink tons of water and keep like my water intake up really good. And I was eating really like as healthy of foods as I could, just for healing, because you want your incisions to heal quickly and, you know, have as little scarring as possible. So I know for me, I had like sutures on each side, and then like the actual like sewn in stitches. So after, I believe it was a 2-week appointment, because I went in for an appointment, I think it was like 72 hours after surgery, just for them to like look and make sure everything was good after I'd like taken the bandage off, which then I could finally breathe. It was so nice. You can't get them wet though, so it just kind of made showering a little awkward. Like I feel like I didn't take like a real proper shower until after the 2 weeks when they got everything out, because you don't want your sutures to like accidentally like melt or like, I guess like dissolve kind of too early is what they told me. So I just kind of like would sometimes like get in the shower and almost just use a towel and like wring it out over parts of my body to get it washed, but I didn't feel like fully clean until I could finally take a true shower. And washing my hair, like you just have to be really careful, because you're not supposed to lift your arms up over your head. So when I'd like wash my hair, I would just kind of like very gently, like with my fingers do this, but not ever like lift up, if that makes sense. So yeah, like the whole showering and bathing thing was like super awkward for the first 2 weeks. And let me see, was there anything? Then how long till I could pick up my 2-year-old? I didn't pick him up truly until around the 4-week mark. That's when I really felt like I'm completely back to normal. Like week 3, I was definitely feeling really good, but I was sticking to, like they say, you're not supposed to lift up anything more than a milk jug and like nothing over your head. So by week 4 though, I was like, okay, like I just could tell my body, I'm like, nothing's feeling tender or sore or painful at all. Technically you're not supposed to do it until 6 weeks, but at that point, and I like wasn't holding him for like hours at a time. It would just be literally to like put him in the crib, or, you know, he kind of crawls in his car seat himself, so I never really had to like lift him up to do that. But I started using his changing table again because I was just changing him on the floor up until that point. And by 4 weeks, I was like, okay, like I can just like quickly lift you up again. He could get in and out of the bath by himself. So really it was just like, I just needed for lifting him into his crib was what I needed the help with, which my kids like were there morning and night to help. And on the days when I have him, I like had Brad here to help me because he was pretty much here every single day working on the bathroom that he was doing. So the timing of it all kind of worked out nicely too, because you can't be taking baths, like you can't actually like soak them in the water until the 6-week mark is what my doctor told me. So it kind of worked out great because I was like, okay, you can work on my bathroom because I can't take baths anything like that anyways. So the timing of it all worked out nicely. And that was one of the next questions on here of, it's almost summer, how long can you get into a pool or ocean? So my doctor told me 6 weeks for like taking baths, getting into a pool, getting into the ocean. It's not recommended that you do it before then. Was there anything to prep, and what happens on surgery day? The only things that I would say, like make sure you have on hand, I think this is another question too, like post-surgery, yeah, what are your post-surgery must-haves? I would order, there are bras that either like front closure, like little hooks. The ones I preferred though were zipper. I'll link the ones that I got on Amazon, and they came in like a ton of different colors. I think I got like 6 of them total, like they came in packs of 3. But get those because you're gonna sleep in those, and that's basically what you're gonna be wearing the first 6 weeks is what my doctor wanted me to be wearing. He said, you know, like if you're going out to a dinner or like doing something and you wanna wear a regular bra, that's fine, but like as soon as you're home, try putting the sports bra back on, because you just want everything to kind of heal in place and settle in place. And honestly, I almost feel like it would be uncomfortable at this point to sleep without a bra on. You know, I don't feel like mine are like overwhelmingly massive on me, on like my frame. Like I think they are still relatively natural, but it's definitely more boobs than I've had unless I was breastfeeding, which I remember even breastfeeding, I couldn't go braless at night when I was breastfeeding either, because it just feels like they like flop to the sides, or I don't know. Do your boobs hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Yeah, so I would say get those sports bras. Also, my doctor gave me like a silicone, like it's basically like a liquid in like a little tube that you put on your scars, but I also got Scar Away. I've used that in the past on other things, and I feel like it just works amazing. So I got both the roll-on Scar Away, which I couldn't like put that on it until after like the 2-week appointment when the, you know, stitches and sutures were out. But then I also got, there's like these silicone strips. I really like those. So if I'm, you know, kind of going to be like home all day sort of thing, I put the strips on my scars, which my scars are like barely even 2 inches. He went, the scars are underneath my boobs. I know they can like go, sorry, I talk so much, my camera shut off. I know they can go through your armpit, or sometimes if you're having a lift, like the women I talked to who got lifts, they cut around their nipple. Which I think if like you're doing a lift, they'll cut around your nipple, and there will be a line like from your nipple to under your breast, and then they'll cut. And you know, depending on the type of implant, I think there are some where they can just cut your nipple and they can put the implant in and fill it. But because I was doing the gummy bear, there needs to be enough space for like that full implant to kind of like, it squeezes, but it still has to like squeeze in through enough of a cut. So he said it was going to be probably like a 2-inch cut, and mine don't even look like they're technically 2 inches for the scars. I feel like this is so funny too, how I keep on just like doing weird hand motions with my boobs, sorry. But I got the Scar Away silicone strips, which I wear those if I'm just going to be kind of like at home during the day. But like when we were just on vacation where I was wearing bathing suits, I just did the roll-on, so that like, you know, you didn't see like that strip sort of like sticking out from a bathing suit. But Other than that, I feel like the silicone strips are great to wear so that your scars like heal and look as minimal as possible. Like any other things like post-surgery, I would just say, you know, make sure you have tons of like liquid on hand, really healthy foods and snacks for your healing. If you know you want just over-the-counter pain meds, have those ready for you. Get Colace, or Colace, is that what it is? Like the stool softener. I think the other one is like Dugalax. I think they said you could get too. You want comfy, so like this, where it just like zips in the front, so it's like easy for you. You don't want to be pulling anything on over your head. So get button-up pajamas or like zip-ups like this to wear. You know, everything that just kind of like closes from the front is basically what you want for a while. And just keep in mind too, because you're going to be wearing a sports bra, you're not going to be really wanting to wear anything that's like super low cut either. So if you have anything where you're going to be out, at least for like the first 3 weeks, I feel like after 3 weeks I could then wear like the regular bra just for going out to dinner, but honestly it was still kind of painful up until 3 weeks where I wanted to just keep the sports bra on. That felt more comfortable, because you don't want to wear anything with underwear or anything that will like dig into where those scars are, because that just like, it would really hurt, it would be really painful. It was also kind of itchy. So yes, you might want to think like if you have any events the first 3 to 4 weeks after your surgery, you just might want to wear like looser, more like high cut tops, honestly, so that you can just wear your sports bra and be more comfortable. And yeah, I feel like other than that, if I'm like missing anything, if you've had this done that like really helped you post surgery, and like of course like throughout the comments too, like leave your experience, or if anything was different for you. You know, I like know everybody's experiences are differently, and this is just mine. But you know, I'm trying to be helpful, and I'm sure like however you can be helpful and what you want to share is like you've gone throughout this process would be great. And I just realized I don't know if I really answered like what happened on surgery day. So for me, like I could not eat from like midnight before the day of surgery, so couldn't eat or drink anything. Like I went in, the nurse checked everything. The surgeon then came in, and he, you know, with like permanent marker sort of draws where like your natural breast, like all around it, like where it lies, where his incisions are going to be. Because that was one of the things too that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't like get them wet, and I had like permanent marker on them for a long time, like all around them, especially underneath and where the sutures and the stitches were. And it was like so nice when I could finally like rinse all that off and actually like truly see how they looked. And yeah, but yeah, I feel like after that they rolled me in. I was out pretty much instantly until I woke up. And yeah, once I like rode home and started taking more of the pain medicine, was just sleeping the rest of the time. What is your sensitivity like? How do they feel? So my sensitivity has definitely gone down, but I feel like it's increased week by week. And you feel like this tingling sensation as your nerve endings, like they explained, that's like normal for when they're reattaching and recovering after the surgery. So I feel like mine isn't fully back to normal, but it's getting there. The oddest thing that can happen is part of your nerve endings reattaching, it almost feels like there's a cell phone on vibrate inside your boob. Like that's the only way I can describe it. It was just the oddest feeling. And I asked a couple of the women, I was like, did this happen to you? Or like, what's going on? And they're like, oh yeah, that's totally normal. Mine felt like that too. It just feels like there's a vibrating cell phone in your boob as your nerves are reattaching. Oh, and how do they feel? So mine have, I think I said this earlier, have definitely softened up. They were really, really hard though, and just really swollen for at least like those first 2 weeks, especially after the surgery. I mean, they were definitely like rock hard at that point. A lot softer now, and from what I've been told, they should just kind of continue to like get softer and softer and feel more natural. Are you concerned about breast implant illness? So this was definitely something that my doctor went over with me, came up in a lot of just when I was Googling about things. And, you know, I think it is something that if you are considering this, again, like do your research and figure out for your body and your medical history, like your surgeon should be doing this too. I know mine definitely did, of making sure that I was a qualified candidate for this, that I didn't have any other health conditions that could cause problems if I went through with the surgery. So do your research and really understand breast implant illness and know what the symptoms are. Because I know like that's one of the things too, like they've just said, like be aware of your body. If you start having any of these symptoms, like reach out immediately. So, you know, it's not something that I want to like dwell on and have anxiety about, but it is something that I feel like I got the information, have been informed, and will be aware of. And just sort of pray, you know, that it doesn't happen to anyone who goes through with this surgery. But something to be aware of. You guys are so sweet. Yours look amazing. How long do they last for? So my doctor said it's normally around the 10-year mark, depending just kind of on you and your body. You might be able to go a little longer. You might need them done a little sooner. But that is one of the things that I feel like my doctor was like, really like when he's like, be aware of all these things. It was also, this is not like a lifetime, like you're done after one surgery. Like you will have to go back and pretty much consider like every decade you're going to have to go back and get your implants changed, or sort of like decide at that point, like, do you still want them? So be aware of that, is that this isn't something that like you get done and they're the same forever. Like I will 10 years from now have to go back and have them redone. Okay, the last question I'm going to answer today is, do I have any regrets? And at this point, my only regret would be like, I wish I could have done this sooner, in probably like my early 20s. And you know, I just think it probably would have made a world of difference for my confidence, because I just like love them so much now. Again, like I just came back from vacation and I was rocking my bathing suits with a confidence I did not ever have before, because I was just so incredibly happy. So for me, again, this is my personal experience, I am over the moon. I feel like they look even better, I feel like, than I imagined they would when I'm like looking in the mirror. And I love trying on bathing suits now. I love trying on different tops and outfits. And I mean, you guys know, if you followed, like I've always been like, I feel like loving clothes and like loving new fashion. And yeah, I just feel more confident in my body and in my own skin now. So overall, my experience, I was really, really happy. And I hope that this video was helpful in some way. If you have any more questions, let me know down in the comments. You know, I might either do like follow up in the comments here, or if there's like a ton more, like a follow-up video or something over on Instagram too. I'm @Bitsabri over there. But yeah, again, I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.